everyone, it's Catching Tease here. Welcome back to my channel, since if you're here, you should have at least seen one video of mine, because this is a part 2. Technically, it wouldn't really matter if you haven't seen part 1 of my Why Dreamcatcher's Deja Vu is a Masterpiece, but I would highly encourage it. That's where I really dig into the music, whereas this time I'll be digging into more of the storyline moves they make and the lyrics. So join me while I continue my love letter to Deja Vu, and I appreciate you for sticking around for 2 parts. Let's go! This music video is so stunning. For how little their budget was at the time, they really made the most of it through simplicity and storytelling. It might be worth mentioning that Deja Vu was a collaboration between Dreamcatcher and the game King's Raid, so there might have been an effort to tie it into the game's lore, but I'm not sure about that as I know nothing about the game. There are some definite tie-ins with Dreamcatcher's lore though, even if the video works as a standalone story. And that's the beauty of this video. You don't need to know anything about any previous plot lines in order to get a full, complete story, or at the very least, some general themes. It plays with the ideas of perception, lies, betrayal, revenge, and the distortion of memories to cope with all of the above. You'll notice the use of light and dark to communicate some of these themes alongside the story. I'm going to share how I understand it, but there are a ton of different theories out there, and nothing has ever really been confirmed. There's just a general consensus on a couple of things. That the story is told out of order, and that Yoohyeon is the antagonist while Jiu is the protagonist. So, once upon a time, Dreamcatcher was one big happy family, with Yoohyeon at the head of it all as queen. However, one day, Yoohyeon got corrupted by the spirit/curse of the spider, part of Dreamcatcher's lore, basically no good, very bad, evil entity, symbolized by the black smoke at the very beginning of the video. This is our inciting incident. She starts making decisions that eroded the kingdom, shown by how the castle starts falling apart. Noticing this and how Yoohyeon isn't acting quite right, the other girls confront her about it. Notice everyone is in white, they're trying to do good, but she views this as a personal attack and begins distancing everyone from each other, going so far as to banish Sua and isolate Handong in a room full of guards. Jiu, the one closest to Yoohyeon, decides to take matters into her own hands before it's too late and confronts her again, but a fight breaks out. Jiu wins, and this is where what I think is a hot take comes in. You see, I think that this scene and this scene are the same thing, just from different perspectives. Let me explain, because a lot of people think that these are two different encounters. Okay, so the first version we see is Yoohyeon's distorted version of the story. Because of the curse, she's not thinking straight and sees this as a power grab from Jiu. Notice that Jiu is in black while Yoohyeon is in white and still has the crown on her head. Also, notice the palace is relatively unscathed, not something you would expect to see after a big fight. And here, we only see half of the story because Yoohyeon is blocking out the other part. Jiu's telling of the story is a mirror image from Yoohyeon's, and is the correct version. Here we see the palace in shambles and the chaos outside. This time, Yoohyeon is the one in black without a crown, and while Jiu isn't wearing white, she's in a very light pink and has a flower crown on her head. Jiu takes the power from Yoohyeon as a necessary move for the kingdom, but can't bring herself to totally end her corrupted friend, so she spares her. However, that ends up being a mistake. Yoohyeon takes advantage of Jiu's kindness and retaliates in a very fatal manner. And even after her death, Jiu is still the honorable one, since she is always shown in white. Meanwhile, Yoohyeon has deluded herself into thinking that she did the right thing and was only protecting herself and her position. Her mentality of "it was her or me" shown in this clip here. As for the other girls, they are stuck in their deja vu, remembering the good times that they've spent with Yoohyeon, but also knowing that she has been corrupted and is responsible for the death of their friend. And for that reason, they all leave, and we see Yoohyeon left alone as a consequence of her actions. But Yoohyeon is stuck in her own deja vu, where she remembers what she sacrificed, but specifically blocks out or alters the bits that would make her look like the villain. Her selective memory and alternative perception is the only thing allowing her to justify herself at the end, where we see her still ruling on the throne, but she is alone and still wearing black, showing how she is tainted by it all. And at the end of the video, we can see how it's affected everyone, all their clothes going from white at the beginning of the video to ending in these black trench coats. Everyone is worse off than how they started, and on that depressing note, the end! Except Jiu might not actually be dead because of some interdimensional tomfoolery, but that's a larger lore debate, and why are both of my ults incapable of containing their lore in a singular dimension? Another fun little nugget has to do with the blue roses that show up in the coffin and with Sua. Now, blue roses have a lot of different meanings, but I found a very specific tidbit of information, which is that dark blue roses in particular signify dreams, imagination, thoughtfulness, and creativity. That last one isn't as applicable, but combine the other three with the overall blue rose meanings of mystery and secrets, and oh, that's definitely some symbolism right there. Jiu and Yoohyeon are surrounded by blue roses when they trade places in the coffin, signifying that the way Yoohyeon has warped the situation has created a mystery for any outside eyes. Suwa throws away the flowers as if to reject the tales that Yoohyeon tries to spin since she knows what actually happened, and we even see a blue rose burning, just like Yoohyeon's secrets, as all of the girls leave. I also wanted to mention that while Dreamcatcher later released a song titled Rose Blue, I don't think it has any connection considering that it was written and produced by a group that is entirely different than their usual team, but hey, if you want to go all tinfoil hat in the comments, go for it. Now, holding this pain, 모든 걸 버린 I feel like when talking about the meaning of the song, people usually only talk about the music video, which does tie in with the lyrics, but I wanted to take a moment to separate the two and look at the lyrics alone. The way that they use Deja Vu is less of that weird feeling of experiencing something you haven't, and more of the literal translation from French, already seen. It speaks more on the intrusion of difficult memories or thoughts that you're trying to block out in order to make it through life easier, particularly in regards to someone near and dear to you. When someone you love puts you in a situation that hurts you, it's tough to work through that cognitive dissonance, and it's not uncommon to block out or entirely distort memories in order to cope. Because of the music video, a lot of people interpret this as someone who has been wronged by a friend, but there's a ton of different ways to interpret this song. For starters, I don't think this song has to be from the perspective of the person that was wronged. It could be the person who did the wronging and is now coming to terms with the consequences. I also thought an interesting lens to view it through was that of a dying loved one, which then the themes move from betrayal to focus a lot more heavily on grief. So I would highly encourage you to read through the lyrics yourself and come to your own conclusion. If you have any other interpretations, drop them in the comments because I feel like we could have a lot to talk about here. I personally like to think of this song more as an oscillating back and forth between two different positions in somewhat similar situations. One, where a person stays in a toxic relationship despite being wronged, and two, where a person has wronged the other party in a relationship but is trying to atone for it. For brevity's sake, I'm going to call the person who hurt someone but is trying to atone the offender, and the person who got hurt but is staying in that situation the victim. Remember, not the same relationship, but just two different possible sides of things. I really like the first two lines because just like Siyeon's voice, it really sets the tone. Your two eyes, their glow is lost. Please erase all my memories. In the case of the offender, this would be them reflecting on how much it hurts, seeing how all of their decisions have worn down the other person. For the victim, this could be them thinking about how the other person has changed for the worse over time and seeing how it's affecting their happiness. Certain lines, such as "the far path I departed on only left hurtful marks," apply more to the offender, but most of the lyrics have a duplicity to them. Oh, now, holding this pain, like the day I abandoned everything, it grows more painful every day, endlessly in front of my eyes, oh deja vu. The offender keeps seeing all of the times that they betrayed the other's trust and is regretting it, while the victim, who has given up everything for the other, is steeping in their misery at the deteriorating relationship. So I've fallen now. As long as I can breathe, I can't let go of you again. We'll be together for every moment. Don't move far away from me. The offender is recognizing how they failed and confessing how important the other is to them, begging them to stay despite their past actions. The victim is realizing their toxic dependency and how severe it's gotten. I want all these moments to be false. I hope these are passing delusions. If through wet tears, through belated regrets, I can go return. I feel like that's pretty straightforward on both ends. The bridge is where things get a little shakier. All the truths I believed covered me in falsehoods. In the midst of the darkness, like a ray of light, you took my hand, I follow you. Now, for the offender, they may have thought that they were doing what was best, but realized they were mistaken and are now letting the other person take control. For the victim, this could be them giving into manipulation tactics after holding out for so long, finally putting all their trust in this other toxic person and devoting themselves to believing in them. And then it's the final chorus. I'm saved now. Even if I bet all of me for you and the painful wounds deepen, as though every moment is a dream, I won't move away from you. And now I'm in my deja vu. The offender has been given a second chance and vows to do better by this person's side, even as they remember the pain of their past actions. The victim, on the other hand, has just committed themselves to a toxic relationship where they keep reminiscing on better days while experiencing the painful reality of their situation. In an ironic twist, the offender actually has the much happier story, or at least that's the way that I see it. Regardless of how exactly you interpret the lyrics, one thing cannot be denied. They're gut-wrenching. Bleeding with emotion and dedication, the expression of a once beautiful relationship turned sour for some unknown reason and possibly stuck in that unresolved state is painful for anyone to imagine, much more for anyone who has experienced it firsthand. Combined with the plot of the music video, it paints a heartbreaking picture, but even on their own, the lyrics stand as a testament to how truly unbearable a split between two people can be. I feel like the choreography for Deja Vu is special because of how demanding yet graceful it is, which is not something you see much anymore. A lot of groups sort of pick a lane of hardcore, oh my god, I can't breathe, or trendier and sometimes cutesier choreography that's easier to do, but it's hard to find the more mature and elegant stuff that sits in the middle. The only girl groups that come to mind are WJSN or some of From Nine's more recent stuff. But Deja Vu fits kind of strangely in that happy medium because it follows the same ebb and flow of the music. It switches from these smaller, choppier movements and these big sweeping motions with a lot of ballet influences in its calmer moments. But beyond that, there are all these little nods to the themes and lyrics in Deja Vu, like them covering their eyes during Your Eyes Have Lost Their Light, covering their mouths during I Fall Asleep in a Deep Silence, siyeon making a choking motion during As Long as I Can Breathe, and then reaching out and pulling you closer during I Can't Let Go of You Again, all of them grabbing each other's hands during You Took My Hand. They have this cool mirror moment where yoohyeon and siyeon are separated by the other members forming a wall between them, and they have all these little ripple moments in the background scattered across pretty much the entire song, which demonstrates that sensation of deja vu physically. Now, ripples are pretty common in choreography just in general because it looks cool and it's an easy way to add dimension, but I think in this case it clearly is something more. It connects to the meaning of the song and adds yet another layer of expression for those central themes. Most prominent is this moment in the chorus during the second Deja Vu that sits in the core part of the song. But I think the coolest part about the choreography has to be the beginning and end of the song because, guys, this is so cool. They start the song with this whole sequence led by siyeon where she goes through all of these motions with the other members, but the end of the song is a direct reversal of it. So this time, gahyeon is the one leading it, and everything happens backwards, and she ends the song pretty much right where it began. Boom, deja vu. It doesn't get much more on the nose than that, but I just love it. The number of things I've found that point back to the meaning just shows how carefully crafted every single facet of this release was, and it's really impressive the amount of dedication and creativity put into it all. So there's the second and final part of why Dreamcatcher's Deja Vu is a masterpiece. I appreciate all of you for sticking with me through two parts as I tried something new. I'm recording this before the first part goes up, so hopefully people didn't hate this format, but that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know some of your interpretations in the comments. Do you think that mine is horribly wrong, particularly with my hot take on the Jiwoo and yoohyeon only fight once thing? And how do you see the story playing out in that case? Also, if you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel as it really helps me out. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!